Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever. Yeah, check it out. Hey, what's good, everybody? Hope you guys are all well. This is gonna be my 4th episode of In a Good Way podcast. I got super sunburned yesterday, so I almost didn't make this video. But it's been a few weeks, I guess, since I posted my last episode. So this is gonna be episode 4. This one's gonna be called "Let's Talk About Sex." I would say, who doesn't like to talk about that? But some people don't. So hopefully it won't make you feel uncomfortable. But it is spiritual. 100% this episode, right? So I'll go into some experiences. Again, this is only my experiences, right? Like I think I've talked about it in different videos before, but not really gone in depth about it. And a lot of things make more sense now, right? Like now in hindsight, after all the things I've experienced spiritually, when I first started, I guess were warnings. I just didn't see that they were warnings. Something was always trying to help me. People are going to do what they're going to do. So this is just a warning because I feel it's that important. I feel that, there's all these things about, from like anything, right? Even modern day kind of spirituality to the Bible, to everything, right? It talks about, souls coming together, uniting, all this stuff. So there's a strong energy in united. There's even memes about it now, right? Like, but I realized this early on, before the world of Google. So nobody could influence my brain. No one could tell me what I was experiencing. I already kind of knew. And they made it really clear to me. So I'll just get right into it. Why it's important to protect your spirit, your soul. Be careful that's what I'm getting at, right? Like, be careful who you unite with. It could be your downfall, like 100%. It could be, you could be thinking, wow, they put me here for a reason, which it's true. It's part of the lesson, but at some point it becomes it's your fault if you keep staying with somebody that's just going to suck the life out of you and bring you down. It's almost like, at one point, it almost feels like that's their purpose, right? Like, not because they wanted it to be, because they didn't know any better. And so they're being used by something, if you have a purpose, and not a purpose like, oh, you have a purpose and they don't. But like, if you have direction, if you already know, like, this is what I'm going to accomplish, and maybe you're on a road that will help a lot of people. But here comes the opposition, right? Trying to pull you down and using somebody that's unaware. So one of my first experiences was, I was fairly young. I didn't really realize, like, I knew I had gifts already, but they were barely starting to kind of come out. So I would still try to play it out like, oh, what a coincidence. Like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, what the hell? What's happening? You know what I mean? And I was with somebody. And, I was probably like 18 or something. And I remember, we had done stuff, whatever. And so, they go off to use the restroom. And I remember I closed my eyes and I seen them. And it was like them dancing or whatever. And then all of a sudden they turn into like the devil, right? And there's all these flames and everything. So it's funny that I'm using that thing. But it's a whole different kind of flames, right? But it was like, and then this female turned into like the devil, and then it was like these flames and everything. And then when I opened my eyes, they came back. Like, I heard the door open, they had came back into the room, and I looked at them like, oh, what was that? And later, this person did cause, like, there was a lot of problems. It was probably the only person I ever fought for, which could have been horribly wrong. It could have escalated to a whole nother level, and I could have gone to jail and all that stuff. At that age, it was all like, a knucklehead and you don't know how to control like your emotions, whatever. Like, but it's the only time I ever fought, right, for somebody like that. Like, and I learned my lesson, because then that person even left with them, this person that, so I remembered like luckily, and I was, everyone was drinking, all this stuff. So luckily, like, things didn't go horribly wrong, but it was a warning beforehand, right? It was like, not to say that person was the devil after. I think, their life changed dramatically after, right? But at that point in time, they were trying to warn me, like this wasn't good. And then I think when I would go back to this person, my energy would always feel weird. And eventually, things happened in to where, we just went our separate ways, right? But that was one incident that I saw spiritually. I just didn't realize it at that point, right? I was just like, oh, maybe just in my head, I was already seeing this person as the devil or something for me. But then I realized what it was later. Then another one, there was someone I was with, and I woke up next to them, and I saw like this demon, right? And it was like them, but this thing was floating over them, like if it was kind of attached to their body. And I froze, right? Like I wake up, open my eyes, and I'm like staring this demon in the face. And I remember like just being like stuck. I couldn't even move. I was like blinking my eyes, like, what am I seeing? Like, this can't be real. And years, like I would have never imagined that I told this person that, but I guess I did tell him that. I guess that's how blunt and honest, like, I'll say things, They told me that they remembered me telling them that, and I was like, oh, wow. But a lot of things went horribly wrong with that person too, and like I said, it seems like they changed their life after, and all that. But there was a lot of conflict, a lot of things weren't right about that. And it was bringing me down in a lot of ways. We met under certain circumstances. It wasn't a good environment too. So I don't know. I mean, I understand why this demon thing attached itself to this person. Like I'll never like I'll give as little information, so I never say who these people were. Since it's so many years ago, but that, like, I understand why it attached itself to this person, right? And at the time too, like, I was trying to do stuff. You get sucked into that whole world. So I'll just go on to the next one, right? But this thing, it was a bad situation, right? It really steered me off whatever. Like, I would drink a lot too and all this stuff, and so it was in that kind of context, right? I actually kind of almost did fight even for that person in a way, but it wasn't. It was a different kind of thing, right? It was just like I don't know. It was different, right? So there were things with that situation, right? But that was there. Then there was someone that I actually, I spend more time with, and that one I'll talk about this, right? Like, it's hard. Like, I want to be honest, but I don't want to put anything to these people, right? Because like I said, now in hindsight, well, now they changed their life, right? Everything's good, right? But I mean, if you could picture waking up next to somebody that has like a demon floating over them, and this is before anything could influence my mind, right? Like, there was nothing that could have put this in my head. I wasn't so much around the religion that it would be like, I wasn't going to church or nothing like that. It was more like, I think at that point I had already read the Bible by myself, but it wasn't to where I could have had anything influence me to see these things, right? So, but like I said, at the time I was drinking a lot and everything. Oh, so let me say this then, in fairness, like, their demons probably matched my demons at the time, right? Like, I was out there being a knucklehead, so it could have been that, right? Like, when I met them, that's why I couldn't really see. And maybe as I was trying to change, then I would see, and sometimes you get in that, right? Like there was a lot of times where sometimes you're out there, you want to hook up with somebody, this and that, but like, even when I stopped drinking, like, there's times that, like, someone wouldn't want to hook up just because I didn't want to drink, right? And I didn't want to invite that stuff into my life, right? Like, I didn't want to, like, once you've been sober for a long time, like, you drink, anyone that knows that it's been a problem, it's like, you drink and you just backslide and you'll tumble all the way down and then have to pick yourself back up. Just like people that do drugs, right? They'll backslide and then it's like, sometimes not just that one time, right? It'll be a whole spiral, a circle of just messing up, and then they have to crawl and climb back up, or some of them just stay down there, right? And then it's and sometimes it's like that, right? Like the person you're with could be that, like, oh, come on, just do this with me. Oh, come on, just do that with me. Like the first time someone tried to make me do meth, right? Like, I was in a hotel room with other people, and there was this girl, like, freaking super as attractive as they get, and she's in panties and a bra, and she got on top of me and tried to put a meth pipe in my mouth, and I was like, how, like, get that crap away from me. And that's how it is. Like, most people probably would have done it, thinking like, man, okay, I'll do it if I could hook up with this girl or something like that. But to me, it was like no way, like, get that away from me. But I mean, temptation doesn't get more, like, it doesn't get crazier than that, right? Like this girl that's like, on a scale from 1 to 10, probably beyond the 10, panties and bra getting on top of you, wearing a cowgirl hat, like, all crazy, and putting a pipe in your mouth. But I wasn't like, I was like, nah, get that away. I didn't even let her like put it in my mouth or nothing. Like, I was like, dude, get away from me, right? But that's how it would be, So sometimes you could be like, oh, I like this person. Okay, seems harmless enough, for the sake of having a good time. Pop this pill, do this, whatever. When someone hands you something. So that's what I'm getting at. I guess when I met this person, the one I saw the demon with, it was kind of like, we kind of met at the same. I would drink a lot. I would this and that. So, and then maybe as I was trying to change, I started seeing things like the veil drop, right? And it was like, oh, wow, wait, what the hell is this? Like, then I started seeing, then they gave me eyes to see, right? But when I was, that's probably why I hooked up with these people to begin with, was because in every state when I was hooking up with them, I was kind of like not. And I guess for me, it's like once, like, I would be hooking up with these people, then it'd be like, well, I don't really need to. I think I'd get more on a like grind mode instead of like, well, let me go party, let me go do this. Once you have like your, you have somebody, so it's like, okay, let me go do this and that. And then you kind of change, but then they stay the same. So then you're not equally yoked kind of thing, right? So let me get into the third one. This one's probably going to be long. So hopefully I haven't lost you guys yet. Like, I'll explain more in depth right now with this situation, right? So this one was probably one of the biggest ones because I ended up with this person, right? And, they lied to me. But like I said, even when I met them, again, I was in a stage of partying, single. When you're single, you're out there, boom, boom. So I was enjoying life. And then, I met this person. We hook up and everything. And we're good for a while, everything. And then I started seeing... Well, okay. So after that, we were already kind of whatever. And then, so what happened was... then I found out this person had a drug addiction, which they had lied to me about, right? Because from the beginning, I don't know, it had came up in conversation like, oh, have you ever done this or that, And I think they told me they had, but I was like, hey, as long as you don't, like, I won't mess with anybody that does that stuff. Like, even for recreational purposes, like, I don't mess with that. And they were like, no, yeah, no, this was in the past when I was young. Okay, cool. All right, fine. So then we end up, and then, I don't know. I just didn't know this person had that addiction still, I guess, because maybe I was still drinking and all that. But after, things started getting really bad, right? This person would be like, throw these fits, super jealous. And I thought it was normal because, unfortunately, I had dated girls that would act like that, right? Like, that would act like super jealous and stuff, Like, I don't know why. I always had that kind of, unfortunately, effect. I don't know. I guess because I'm really social. So I guess, I don't know. Like, maybe that will make women jealous, right? Or stuff like that. And, and at the time, too, I think, that was when MySpace. And I had, like, tens of thousands of, I had, like, over 40,000 people on my. So it was always just a lot of jealousy. So I thought it was normal stuff, right? Like, okay, this person's just always jealous, acting like a nut, right? But... eventually I saw that this person had a drug addiction because they started going too crazy. And I was like, oh, what? Like, wait, this person's like on something, right? And so the same, then I wanted to take care. Then I wanted this person to like recover, right? I wanted to help them recover. And so one day I woke up next to this person while I was praying for them, right? Before we went to sleep or whatever, I was praying for them, like you know, God help me. At that point, I was getting really back into like, you know, at that point, I guess it was the church thing more, right? Like I was praying, like, but I wouldn't go to church, but more like biblical stuff, right? So I was praying a lot, like, hey, God, please help me, help this person. And before I went to sleep, I think I prayed that. And then so I'm gonna read this thing, right? So you guys could so I had this dream. I'll talk about the dream and then I'll say why it reminded me of this passage, right, from the Bible. But so I had this dream that it was like if I was inside this person, their soul or something, and there was like everything was clean, right? Like this huge room and everything was just like clean. And there were these two huge demons all of a sudden. Huge, like 4 or 5 stories. You know, and I'm like my regular size. And then they're coming, but then I had this huge angel with me that was like the same height as them. You know, 4 or 5 stories tall. And they're coming and my angel just goes and chops them up to pieces, right? And then, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, cool, we saved her, this and that. But then, all of a sudden, they start coming back, like they put their pieces back together, like, and then they chop up my angel and they shred them to pieces. And then I turn around and I just start running. And there's like this doorway over there, but I can't get to it. I'm just running. And then I wake up and like I'm staring at this person. I'm just like, whoa, like what the hell do you have inside of you, right? But it reminded me of this passage, and I'm going to read it real quick. So it's Matthew 12:43, right, to 45, you know, in the King James, right? So it says, when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man or a woman, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. So you get it, right? When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none, right? So it left, and it's like, damn, it has no home now because it was thrown out of its domain, right? This unclean spirit. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. So when he comes back, that unclean spirit, it's like he finds it, that everything's nice and clean, right? Because you fixed yourself. So everything's nice, polished. And that's how the floors were in the dream, right? Everything was like clean, like perfect, like swept, you know, all that stuff. So then he goeth and he taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation, right? So that's kind of how it seemed, right? Like it didn't bring 7 more spirits, but it brought these 2 huge spirits that were insane, right? And I don't know if it was like a warning, but sure enough, that person, like then the addiction stayed, right? Like they will be good for like a week, and then boom, they'll backslide. Then maybe another week, then they'll backslide. So it kept going like that, right? Like to where it was just draining me, right? It was like I always say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, right? Like being with somebody that was you know, had this drug addiction, right? It was probably one of the most like draining parts of my life. See, and at that point I was really trying to do good, right? I was getting really, not just with biblical stuff, but I was really tapped in. Like I would get all these visions and this and that. But with this person, it was like, you know, we'd break up, we split up, and cool. I'd be like, I would have never chased this person. I was like, cool, like finally, like something like made it happen because this person, I was already invested, so I would have kept trying to help them, right? And it was just bringing me down. And even my brother from a physical world tried to explain to me, he's like, hey, like, he gave me his analogy, but it was the realest thing, right? He was like, hey, if you're in a little rock and you're standing in a lake and there's someone drowning and you're trying to pull them up, is it easier for you to pull them up on this little rock that you're standing? Or is it easier for them to bring you down, you know, and drown you with them, right? And so I got what he was saying, because even at the time, I guess I barely had enough ground to stand on. You know, I was doing good, but slowly. And so he was trying to tell me, like, you know, this person keeps, like, they're just trying to, you know, there's nothing you could do. They're just going to drown. Like, you barely have enough to stand on yourself, and this person's just going to drown you with them. But me and my helping nature, I wanted to help this person, right? So, but yeah, and then after, I guess, I guess when someone's, has the drug addiction, they're very good at talking, right? Like like they'll apologize and they come very sweet, very humble, you know, all this stuff. And so you feel bad and you take them back. But like, that's why it is. It's that thing. Like, they learn how to live with the drug addiction. Like, oh, I could go do this, but then come back. They already kind of know what works. They'll figure it out, right? Like, just like a drug addict, you see, they'll do anything to get the drug, right? Whether they have to go beg for money on the street, they have no shame when it comes to the power of getting the drug. So then they'll do the same thing with you, right? They know how to ask, how to be humble, and oh, I'm so sorry, the tears, everything. And maybe they might be saying the truth in that point, at that instant, but then they'll go back to the addiction, and it's just this endless cycle, right? So I was happy every time, like this person, and when they would do the drug, they would disappear. So then it'd be cool. Like, I even changed my number a few times, all this stuff, right? But then they just go looking for me. So then again, we had, we had came back together, and then I ended up having another dream. It was the same again. This person had the addiction. I was like, man, it was draining the life out of me. And so I had another dream that it was like there was this demon like chasing us, right? And but it looked like a person, but it was like this demon. And we run inside my house, and then I close the door, and she's like sitting in this bed in front of me, and I'm holding the door, and this demon thing's just pounding, boom, boom. It comes in chasing us, boom, boom, and she's just sitting there like a zombie, like on the bed. And I'm like, it's you, it's you. I was telling her like it was you, and the demon's just pounding, boom, boom. And I was trying to hold the door back, and then I knew right away. It was like she kept inviting. That showed me that there was nothing I could do. At that point, that's what they were trying to show me, the spirit world. That there was nothing I could do because this person kept inviting the things back in. And they were getting stronger every time, right? Which is why I love that passage, because even before knowing anything, like that made perfect sense, right? Because I was experiencing it. And yeah, I'll tell you this in closing. It was this bad. Like this person, like I was so invested that I remember one day at work, and most men don't talk about this stuff, which is why, if anyone knows statistics, double the men. So, if 50 women committed suicide, 100 men committed suicide, right? So it's double the number for men as it is for women, because it's always harder for men to express themselves, right? But so I was working this warehouse, loading trucks, this and that by myself. And I was just drained, and, I was thinking of like, okay, like, damn, I don't know why it affected me so much that I couldn't fix this thing with this person, and it was just draining me. But see, maybe it had to do with that energy, the two uniting, and so their energy was just bringing me down, like almost like an energy vampire, right? Like they were draining me to the point where I felt I had nothing. And so I was planning, like, you know what, I'm just gonna like, take my own life, whatever. And so the day I planned it, like I decided that day, I was like, I'm going to do it because this is too draining. I get out of work and I get to my car. And I mean, this happened, like I was having these thoughts like at 4 a.m. while I was at work. And when I get to my car, my phone rings. Like as soon as I get in my car, I think you had to leave the cell phones and all that stuff in the car. You couldn't carry them into work, right? And so like as soon as I get in my car, it rings. I'm like, hello? And then like this person's telling me like, man, I had this dream and this and that. And, and they said they were sitting like in this park and they were looking at everything like, I think because at the time they wanted like to have a kid. And it was like, how am I going to have a kid with this person that's like, like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, they can't get it right. So how am I going to, and I think so they were like looking at all these kids playing or something. And I don't know if that's what it represented or what, but they were sitting there and the clouds just parted open, and they said that it was God, and God just like tells them, leave him alone. Like, and they were so scared. Imagine, I couldn't get rid of this person. Like every time I would tell them like, leave me alone, they'll come back. They didn't care. Like they hopped the fence once to my house, and I was like, what the hell? I'm going to call the cops, and they disappeared. But they kept like, I was like, this is crazy, I couldn't get rid of this person, but that dream scared them so much that they left me alone. I didn't hear from them for I don't know how long, and then it was enough. It was enough to be like, whoa, like I couldn't like God himself appeared to this person in a dream or vision and told them to leave me alone, to where it scared them so bad that they left me alone. But I couldn't do that. Like, it was insane. So, maybe I don't know. Maybe I didn't feel the value or something, but that definitely made me feel like some kind of value, right? Like, why would God intervene for me? Like, God himself, like, like, that would just blew my mind. Like, to tell this person, like it was like they knew I was gonna do it. Like, when I had decided, like that's it, I'm gonna do it. I'm out of here, because I don't know, something was draining. Like, I just didn't have any. I felt discouraged. I felt like worth it. I mean, I guess even that, right? Like, being with somebody, I would have preferred them to like go be with somebody else, but to know that they kept picking this drug over you, over the relationship, I don't know, it was messing me up psychologically, right? Like, not understanding, because I didn't have that addiction, right? Like, or stuff like that, right? So yeah, it was crazy, right? So it was like God himself. But see, that's how bad it got, to where whatever it was, like, and then I don't know if then after that they came back in the picture, and then that was the last time. But even that, every time we would come back together and I'll be intimate with them again, like, I would feel nasty. I knew it. I was like, what did I do? Like, and it would almost be like something I would get really nervous and shaky, like, before we would hook up again. Like, I knew, like, my body was trying to warn me, but I wouldn't like listen, and I don't know what became. Like, I think they changed their life and everything eventually, but so God bless their soul kind of thing, but for me it was like the worst experience. And that's when I was really trying to do like positive stuff, right? So yeah, like so that was a crazy thing, right? And I know there was there was one more after, like someone, but I just dealt with them. I'll just say the last one, but that one I think was the biggest one, so you could see how serious it is. Like, this person that I was involved with brought me to the point to where I was ready to, like, end it all, right? And so this last one, it was like this person I just dealt with briefly, but they were supposed to be very spiritual, right? And so, but then, like, at first things started good and everything, but then things, like, this person was really, like, probably one of the worst people I dealt with in forms of, like, I don't know, they had this crazy side to them, right? They would flip. And, so it was really weird to me. It was, like, very discouraging, because I was like, I thought someone spiritual would be, like, boom, good, but it was different. And then, so then I had this experience where I dreamed of them, like, I don't know, there's all, like, I think I was getting everyone out of the house, and then I go back in because they weren't behind me. So I go back in to get them, and I open a door to a room, and they're on the bed, like, laid down, and there's, like, the craziest demon I've ever seen to this day. It looked like something from that show, and this was way years before that. What's such Stranger Things, right? It was like one of those. There was a demon I seen in that show that reminded me of this, right? So it was one of those things. It was like the craziest thing I've seen to this day, right? And the energy was so strong. That had never happened to me. Like, when I opened the door and I seen them, and I was like, I was gonna go try to help her. The thing turned around at me, like, boom, and the energy was so strong, it threw me out of my dream, and I woke up like, what the hell? And then I couldn't get a hold of this person. So this person at that time, like I wasn't like talking to, like, I didn't have any kind of relationship with them anymore. But it was like, I couldn't get a hold of them, and I don't know what was going on with them. They kind of told me, like, I won't get into all that, but it was something, right, that, like, had them. And maybe because they were spiritual, it was a stronger thing. Like, I could use this person, right? Because you think someone, so even that's a good lesson. Not everyone that's spiritual is really has those good intentions, right? Like, like, because even with me, right, it's a choice. Sometimes I'll fall. I'm constantly reminded when I'm going too much this way or too much that way, like, something will yank me back in, right? And so, but this person, like, they were supposed to be very spiritual, and this thing was like, it threw me out of it. I never forgot how I felt, like, the strength of this crazy looking thing. It was like You know, when Venom has all that weird thing, but it was like way worse than that. Like, it looked creepy. Venom doesn't even look creepy compared to this thing. It was like, when it's all in its like, dark. It was all like dark kind of thing, and yeah, it was just insane. And later on, I think I had another encounter with another spiritual person. I won't get into that one because that one was it was other stuff. But I had dreamed of the situation with them like a month before it happened, and I didn't realize it when I was around them that this was the person. And then after, they kind of did something that, and I remember because in this dream it was like it was them, but then there was a double them, and like the double them ran behind a curtain like in a house, and I went after them. I was like, hey, why are they hiding what? And when I went to pull back the curtain, they like came out like a demon, and they bit me. And when I woke up, I could feel the pain. And that's happened to me like quite a few times, where from the dream it translates over into the physical world, and I felt it. And eventually it went away, but it was like, whoa, like this thing in the dream like attacked me. And but it was them. It was like it was a part of them. It was like in the spirit world, they had like these two personalities, or they had built these two personalities. It was something weird, right? But I didn't realize like I had dreamed of them, and this was someone that was very spiritual as well. So it was a strange thing. But all that to say, like you have to be careful, right? Who you, because I think that's the best example I could give, right? It took me all the way to that level where someone that I was with, they almost brought me to end it all, because had it not been for divine intervention, literally, I would have probably stayed in that situation, and it would have been all bad. So that's the whole point, right? That's why let's talk about sex, but just be careful who you. Older people, they're stubborn, right? Nobody gonna tell them nothing, But that's why I guess, the drinking, it's an easy way, because then you don't think about it, you do it, and then you could always like repent after, right? I think even that, right? I think when I was already spiritually aware and I was still drinking, like now I haven't drank in, I don't know, 7 years, something. Who even knows? I don't remember. I didn't keep track, but that's why I can make better decisions, right? About what I do. But even that, see, my lesson was I had to learn to be even that spiritual people, right? Like you could be with someone that's supposed to be spiritual, and they have this super dark, they have things with them, right? Like they do all more in that sense, right? Like they're spiritual, but you don't know, like how you say, you don't know who someone's praying to, right? Like you don't know who they're walking with and stuff, right? So that was my lesson too. Aside from just regular everyday people, I had to learn that even spiritual people could have some really and some aren't even aware. To them, they're like everything's normal, everything's fine, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I got to be careful that I never become that to somebody as well, right? Like I have to know that I think honesty is the best thing, because as long as someone knows who you are, then someone's making their choice, right? And I think the problem with a lot of people that I would interact with, they'll lie, and that's the worst thing, right? Like, because then it's almost like they're taking your choice away, because they'll lie, and eventually, I'll start dreaming stuff. I start seeing things now more so, right? Like I'll start dreaming things, and I'll be like, oh, okay. So then I'm able to make the choice now, right? But before I didn't. When I wasn't as tapped in, I didn't really see until I saw it physically. But now they'll show me things like even more so in the spirit world, to where I'm able to see, okay, like, and I could make the choice before, to where Well, I'll just share this last story. Like one time, right, I was dealing with somebody, and I knew things didn't feel right anymore. Like this person, it wasn't right. And so one day, I was supposed to go over to their place, right? And so I'm like, I don't know, I started feeling it, like, nah. And they lived maybe 30 to 40 minutes away. And so I'm driving to their place, even though I had felt I'm not supposed to go. And so on the way there, I'm like, okay, as I'm probably like halfway there, I'm like, okay, if I'm not supposed to go there, turn off. I forgot it was 3 or 5 street lights, right? But minimum 3 for sure, 100%. And they were like, and I was like, okay, if I'm not supposed to go, turn off 3 street lights. And like, just like that, like clockwork. 1, 2, 3. And I was like, no way. Like, like right as I asked, like, okay, if I'm not supposed to go, turn off 3 streetlights. And I'm driving, and boom, boom, boom. I was like, whoa, like, okay. All right, then. And I kept going. That was the whole thing. Like, I kept going. And finally, I get there. And I'm right outside this person's place. All they had to do was look outside the window and see me. And they call me. They're like, hey, where you at? And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go after all. You know, because I was wrestling with it. Like, see, even though they had showed me, I still went all the way to being outside. And they were like, hey, where you at? And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go. And then they're like, what? They got all mad. Start telling me all this stuff. Like, yeah, sorry. And then I just do a U-turn and I take off. And, you know, like, that's the thing. See, even me, right? Like, you know, you get the physical body, right? Like, it still tempts you. Even though I was being shown, my gut told me. First, my gut told me. Then they physically showed me. And I still went all the way to being outside this person's place. You know, and then they called me and that was it. So with that, I'm going to end it. Hopefully that gave you some... I had a cough all of a sudden. I feel like they're telling me, like, okay, that's it. That was strange, right? So I feel with that, yeah, see, it's crazy. So I'll end it with that. Hopefully I didn't say too much. Hopefully that was good. And let me drink some water. Yeah, so that was strange. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but okay, yeah, so thank you for listening. Those were my experiences. Hopefully it helps somebody. Hopefully you understand there's a strong power in coming together. You know, just choose wisely. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, sometimes unfortunately people will lie. They won't tell you who they are up front. And this has nothing to do with like regular stuff, right? Like there's things people won't be honest about, but not that it's harmless. A lie is a lie, but there's like serious things, right? Like a drug addiction or someone being married, right? Like, man, I won't even get into that. But when I was younger, you know, that happened to me where, you know, I hooked up with somebody and then I called them and it was like their friend. And then next thing you know, then this person calls me back. Oh, I'll have them call you back. And then they'll be like, oh, I live with my man or something. I'm like, wow, like, dude, you got to be kidding me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Someone that you like, you know, hooked up with, like, right? You met at a party, boom, boom. Next thing you know, like, everything happens. And then when you call them, it's like that. So that happens. So you got to be, you know, there's things like that. And sometimes see like that, right? They lie and then you don't know. But maybe, like, when you're spiritually in tune, something will tell you, right? Like, you'll feel it in your gut. See, I was supposed to stop and I keep going, okay, so that's it. Hopefully you guys will, you know, have those little antennas up, like, pray. You know, if you have a good person, cherish them, right? Like, don't be all with that, the grass is greener on the other side. If you have a good person, then, and you go a different route, then, and you get karma, or not karma, but a huge life lesson, and then you know, once that's done, that's done. You know, hopefully you don't have to learn the hard way, right? Because you could already be in a great situation, but you're over here, like, because when you're searching somewhere else, it's more like there's something more wrong with you than there is. Not always, right? Yeah, you could be in a relationship where you're like, man, this isn't working. Then you know when it's time to leave, it's time to leave. But if you are good and maybe you, in your mind, well, I'm just bored or this and that or that and this, then, you know, why are you bored? Like, what is it, you know, there's other things you could find to do instead of just like, oh, let me go do this. Sometimes, you know, there's so many things out there, like, not just like physical disease, but to me, like, that's what I'm trying to bring. Like, there's not just the physical aspect of like, oh, there's these physical diseases you could get. There's the spiritual diseases you could get. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I've experienced a lot of these things, and it sounds easy me just saying it, but it attaches to, like, once they attach to you, like, you know, sometimes it takes months to kind of get rid of that energy. Or for you to be in a safe zone where you're not tempted anymore, where this person calls you and you had that attachment with them. And then they're like, oh, you know, I want to see you, or can we just go out to eat, or can I just talk to you in person, or even on the phone, oh, I just want to talk to you on the phone, all this stuff. And you're like, nah, I already know what you caused me. You have to know, like, you have to be able to to be like, nah, you brought me all the way down. Like, why would I ever go through that? They'll tell you they changed. If they have changed, good, and you want to do that. But if not, like, sometimes it's just because they might be bored or they might be this or that. So you just got to be careful with that. Hopefully this helped. Like I said, this was my 4th episode in a Good Way podcast. Really personal stuff, but I feel like people need to know because I've seen that stuff. I don't have to tell you from reading a book or nothing like that. I've experienced things on that level. At least spiritually, I could tell you that, right? That there's things out there. And no one influenced, like I got to see that there's things out there. So not everything is just you. Like, even though, see, it's weird because I know there's energies and this and that, but these things that I've seen, I had no reason to see them. Like, so to me, I was shown that there is stuff out there, right? Like, there's these other spirits and stuff. So I'll end it with that. I could keep going on because I keep remembering other stuff. There's so many things. Maybe I'll make a part 2, right? But if not, like I said, oh yeah, see, I just thought of another big one. But okay, I'll end it with that. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Just be careful who you choose to combine your soul essence with, right? Who you decide to just be casual with. You never know. It might just be that, like boom, boom, boom. But one day you might just end up hooking up with somebody that, like I said, not just like physically kind of disease, but like, spiritually transmitted. Oh yeah, STD, spiritually transmitted disease, right? Like something latches onto you and then good luck, right? Then it's going to take a while to get that energy off. All right, so thank you again. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. It'll help me grow this channel. If not, I'll keep posting stuff regardless, but it helps, leave comments, all that stuff. Let me know I'm not doing this, like, not that regardless, I'm going to do it regardless, but hey, it's always nice to know that someone's getting something out of it, right? All right, thank you for watching. Peace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.